Hello everyone. Good to see all of you again. Let me just get this started. I want to cover a few things today. What I spoke about the last time. All right. I hope all of you have been doing well since the last time we spoke. And today I will cover a few things such as something to do about HDB properties and growth projects part 2. Okay. So for all of you working at home and able to join me today, right? Thank you for joining me. And if you have any questions as I go along this session, right, please fill it in and then I'll try to monitor on this side if I can see you, all right? Okay, so without further ado, let me just share with you my PowerPoint slide. Okay, so this is market updates and growth properties. There's some things that's already developed over the past 3 weeks since we last spoke. Yep, and one of the things is we go to HDB updates. This has been the flash estimate that we released by HDB. Normally, they have a flash estimate, and then at the end of October, they give you the real figures. Yeah. So third quarter, we have received actually an increase of 2.7%. You can see it over here. All right. That would then give me, if you use the previous slides, right? This has been the result for the first quarter was 3%, and now we are looking at 2.7, meaning to say that we have already achieved 8.7% growth for HDB market, right? You can only guess what's going to happen in the fourth quarter, but I think that we are definitely will hit the target of my anticipation of a 10% increase minimum for this year. Okay, so for all of you who are in the HDB market and you are having some difficulties getting a property, I think I spoke the last time that it has to be the reverse. Even for a private property, please buy a property first before selling, because if not, you'll find that you'll be in a fix, you'll be stuck. Okay, yeah. So some tips on HDB purchase. Now, these tips is because this happened to me recently. One of the properties that I was actually marketing. All right. A lot of buyers today, I think, either you are working with an inexperienced salesperson, or you are still relying on the past transactions to give an offer. All right. This is not relevant in today's market. The past transactions could offer you as a guide, but prepared to pay higher than what was just transacted, even if it's just a month ago. All right. Look at some of the attributes now. The whole reason because we're in an up market. Okay. And the second thing I think you should think about also is that you got to negotiate with the correct mindset. Right now, what do you mean by this? So I guess if you the story of what happened, I think it was about a week and a half ago, when the agent brought a buyer to the property I was marketing. Right today, unfortunately, unlike the past, when you enter negotiations or you go for viewing, you could have perhaps in a good area 6 to 10 groups of buyers, and you're able to see the interest, you're able to know what type of competition you're up against. All right. But today, you cannot even imagine the competition, because everything is up to the agent to inform you, right? You only have 2 packs they can view. So sometimes when the viewings are packed back to back, your viewing slot could only be next week, right? And therefore, at times, the salesperson could be pulling a fast one or not. You won't know, isn't it? So I think if you can, give your best offer, because what happened to my case was that they gave an offer. It wasn't their best offer. And when I received a better offer, my client accepted and we closed the case. And they were very disgruntled because they was asking, why is it that I didn't go back to them for a counter offer? Now, I wanted you all to understand all of this, all right? Even for my YouTube followers, okay? You might not like this, all right? But the thing is that it is only gracious of the agent to come back for a counter offer. At times, he does that is because he cannot close the case, all right? But when there is a buyer willing to deal and the customers agree, there is really no professional necessity for the agent to go back to the first agent or to the first buyer to ask for a counter offer. All right, you are supposed to give your best offer now, all right, and don't be angry if you lose a house just because of $1,000 of difference. Okay, right? And anyway, story short, they lost the house. It was sold to another person at a much higher offer, and after that, they called me personally, all right, and it says that they could have actually matched much higher. And I think that was what should have been done in the first place, because you guys have no idea what is a competition like, all right? The type of buyers that's already in the arena, I would say, all right? Okay, the competition is there, and if you're going to bring a sword to a gunfight, you're going to lose it, okay? Right? So do not miss out just because of a couple of $1,000s. I think is something of a more longer term type of decision you think about. If you really like the house, please pay good for it, because it's going to be a home for the next 5 years, for a condominium, and also 3 to 5 years anyway, isn't it? Okay, so this would be something that I think I wanted to touch on, right? Next thing is some private updates. So this was something that I did in my live webinar. I've uploaded it in YouTube. So for YouTube viewers, right, I hope you like the session. Now I'm going to just update a little bit what's happening there. This was released, and in fact, this plot of land, right, at Marina View was under the reserve site, and it was triggered now. It actually closed last month, and the interesting thing is that this property only had one bidder. Okay, it's a very expensive land, and the interesting thing was that the developer only bid $101 above the reserve price. Okay, and they were awarded. There was no contender anyway. Now, this is quite interesting because of the following slide I'm going to show you. Right, this is 1378, so you realize that this is 1379 per square feet per plot ratio. Estimated here, you have commercial space, it's a white site, you have hotel rooms, and you also have residential properties. Okay, I'm going to show you something that an abstract of what I read from each prop. Okay, I'm going to put it in the link below for you to read the full article. But this site is interesting because this is CCR, and now you can see that the last white site for this area is also bidded by the same developer back in 2016, and this is, I think, about 2 plots of land towards the northeast. All right, and it was purchased at 1689 per square feet per plot ratio. So you can actually see the significant difference in terms of the present purchase price. All right, yeah. And if you look at what Alice Tan said, is that for Marina View at this plot of land, in fact, it is 10.2% lesser than the winning bid of the residential site at Tan Quee Lan Street. All right, you guys should know what property sits there. This happened in 2019. All right, and another one is that it is also 5.8% than the present property at Burnham Street, and 5.5% lesser than the one at Middle Road. You guys will also know what property I'm referring to, right? So this actually, to me, it would then be interesting to note what might play out in terms of the launch price next year and the potential resale price at a time where all these new properties are in the market to compete for buyers. Okay, right? Now, this is something to highlight, and perhaps a lot of us didn't actually look at this. These are some of the cooling measures that was announced back in 2018. Right now, what do we see? A lot of us are only looking at basically what affects us, isn't it? When you buy something at 7% previously, it's increased to 12%. So this is for consumer standpoint, right? I want to refer you to the bottom, which is entities, and this is actually in relation to the developers. Okay, previously they had to pay 15%. Right, and this is remissible, something like your matrimonial home, right? You pay first, and then you can get it back, right? This is the same thing. They pay the 15% first, and when the properties are fully sold, they will get back their monies, right? Just a larger down payment anyways. After the 6th of July 2018, right, it has been changed by an additional 10%. So now they have a higher upfront cost of 10%, so total is 25%. And on top of this, all right, they had to pay here, the bottom here, a 5%, which is an ABSD, if you put it. It is non-remissible, all right? They have to pay it. This is add on to their cost. Okay, so therefore, developers today are a bit more careful. They know that they have to pay not just a land cost, but there's an additional cost that they have to pay also, right? Now, why am I saying this? Is because I'm going to show you, this was the one that I was asking you guys to watch out, right? This is the 3 plots of land, Marina View, Sim Barracks, Parcel A and Parcel B. Now, interestingly, these are 2 small sites. This is only 265 units, right? The land bid was won by EL Development. I want you to take note to number 2, right? The developer, Guo Xuehua, right? This is actually Kingsford, right? They lost the bid just by $4 million, all right? This would then translate to a land bid of 1246 per square feet. I didn't add in the 5% because they do have the 7% bonus GFA. Okay, what is the bonus GFA? Is for your PES, your additional spaces, your aircon ledgers, and so forth, right? They have this 7%, used to be 10, but it has been reduced to 7, right? So I kind of just erase it off, right? Okay, so the break even to me, I'm just estimating about 1846, and the possible selling price that would be at Barracks A next year will be about 2,100 plus per square feet with a 15% markup. Okay. Now I ask you to look at this because this developer was the one that won this site. All right, the smaller site, but they won it by Kingsford. So you guys, if any of you have been buying Momentum Park and you've been reading the news about the developers having a big cash flow issue and they're going to default on their bonds and what is Kingsford's position, I think this gives you a lot of confidence because they have enough money to actually bid on 2 lands, right? They actually had the calculation. If they have gotten Parcel A, they will have the money to absorb both and develop both properties. Okay, all right. So anyway, they got this property, right? They will gain. This is going to be sold next year. Land bid was at 1210 per square feet. Break even estimated about 18, right? I'm just throwing in a $600 per square feet, right? The basing on the selling price of 15% is about 2082, right? This is estimate. This is going to be a very small project. 140 units is about the same as One North Eden, right? One North Eden is only 165 units. Okay, now I show you the value ladder there before. Let's see if there's anybody here. Right, I showed you the value ladder there before, and all right, and this is what it's going to look like. Okay, I'm not so sure whether I'm covered up the top part where my face is, right? So Sky Everton is right on top, followed by One Burnham, One Pearl Bank, right, all the way to the bottom, which is Momentum Park. And if I throw these 3 inside, estimated Marina View, in my opinion, is about 2350 per square feet. It could be higher. All right, you have Barracks A and Barracks B. This is where it's going to line up in future. Okay, so this is what is going to happen for you to see visually what could be the possible resale price in future. And for all of you who have bought properties on the lower part of the ladder, I think more or less you have kind of hedged your downward movement, and upward movement should be more or less quite okay in terms of your capital appreciation. If you're right on top like Sky Everton, personally, I think you're going to hold up the property for the longer while, right? My personal principle is this, all right? It might not relate to you, but to me is that if something has a very good prospect or giving me upward gain, all right, I think this is something that is a question, but I would want to always make sure that my downward fall has been has a cap to it, okay? And the upward gain will naturally be there. Does it make sense to you? Okay. Now, let me just move on. All right. Now going into growth and safe haven projects. This is interesting. And this is basically what I ended off the last session, right? How to pick the right property that will limit your downside risk while at the same time giving you upside potential. Okay. Now, disclaimer, this is very important. Why is this important? Because this is basically my methodology, personally, how I used to do investments for myself, and how I will also use the same methodology and principles to grow my client's portfolio, and how to pick properties that to me makes more sense. All right. Therefore, you have the way that you want to grow your property portfolio, and then you can have your own way, is fine. But if you like my way, then well, we can chat further. Okay. Now, what is this methodology to find growth properties, or what I call safe haven projects? All right. A few pointers. The first one basically is to understand future prices. Okay. Next, understanding future targeted buyers, meaning to say that this is basically aligned to your exit strategy. Who are you going to sell your property to? Next, understanding future affordability. Okay. And then there has to be presence of growth drivers. What are growth drivers? I'm going to go into it later. And after understanding all this, okay, positioning yourself correctly today. All right, now let's go into it. All right, now I'm going to use a case study, which is at Lentor, right? This place has already been done, but developers already bought this place. The land bid is at 1204 per square feet, a plot ratio, right? The break even to me estimated at 1804, and the selling price could be 2050 per square feet, right? This is going to be a mixed development. Ground level is going to be commercial space. Now, understanding future price. Today, a lot of 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, I'm not talking about the premium ones, we're talking about the compact ones, all right, will sit around 958 square feet. Now, at a 10%, it's about 1985 per square feet, correct? This is what is going to be the possible launch price next year for a 958 square feet unit. I'm talking about, like I said, again, a 3 bedroom with 2 bath and a balcony is going to fall in the range of $1.9 million. Okay? Makes sense, right? Now, this is what you're going to buy. Okay? And a lot of us are hoping that you buy something and you do not lose equity and it will appreciate in the next 3 to 4 years. So if I'm going to just give you some future figures to look at, if you buy something perhaps next year, and this is a development that, in taking into consideration the pandemic today and the delay of construction works, right, it's going to TOP estimated in 2026. At any time, we're going to give a very nominal increase of $200,000. In the resale market, we are looking at Lentor 2192 per square feet, right? From 1.9 million to 2.1 million dollars. But this is going to happen possibly in a few years' time, 4 years, right? 4-5 years' time. Okay. Now let's understand our future buyers. If today you're going to buy something and you ask yourself who is going to buy from you, to me it's going to be first timers, all right? HDB upgraders, because the area is Yio Chu Kang, Ang Mo Kio, right? And there's an enclave of HDB properties in the area, right? And I think I'm going to target Singaporeans. Okay, I will go into reasons why Singaporeans in a while, and their household income could range between $15,000 to $20,000 a month. All right, and if I calculate based on a 15,000 on the lower spectrum, you have estimated these buyers are aged 40 years old. This household is still able to get a home loan of 1.79 million today, based on today's parameters, right? They'll still be able to get this loan. And this group of people are perhaps looking for larger spaces and more efficient layouts. Okay, they're looking for safe haven properties. Now, I think a lot of us will understand the meaning of leasehold and freehold today, right? Leasehold properties, the considerations for the buyers in future in terms of loan advantages and CPF usage advantages is in relation to any leasehold properties, HDB or condominiums. Okay, so I think they will either be looking for something newer, all right, or has more balanced lease left, or they'll go into a leasehold property, right, depending on the price that is offered to them at the time. Now, I also think that they should be looking at minimum 1055 square feet unit. To me, I prefer something at least 1,002 and beyond, right? That will make more sense. Okay, and it's good to at least have a 3 bedroom, 3 bathrooms, all right, a utility, a yard, and a balcony. All right. Why? Because of either storage space or the option to have a helper inside the house. All right. A yard to do your laundry. And a balcony, this one really depends. If it's for the older properties or bigger space, then I'm kind of okay to actually drop the desired reliability of a balcony. Okay. Yep. Now, This is for buyer profile. Because we're doing Lentor area, let me just show you an example of Carl Rose. Carl Rose, you can see the buyer profile. Okay, all this information are taken off HProp. Buyer profile, you see that majority, 91% are in the range of Singaporean, and foreigners only 2.8%. All right, so even though condominiums on the onset is open to foreigners, it does not mean that it has a great attraction for foreigners to invest in, right? Foreigners buy places in different parts of Singapore and maybe not in Lentor area. Therefore, buying a place, hopefully that a foreigner is going to buy from you and betting on a 2.8% doesn't make sense. You're going to work on your 91.9%, right? The other one is Far Horizon Garden. Over here, we have, again, majority of 82.5% that is Singaporean, okay? Now next is layout. Okay, so this is something that I personally like in terms of layout, okay, and what I think that would make sense for you to purchase. All right, you can see, you can see here, you have a balcony here, this is the entrance, all right, you have an enclosed kitchen, this is important, yeah. And over here, you have your utility room, your yard, and additional WC, right? Now, I like this, and it is best if you can find a layout whereby the WC is actually have a separate opening from the utility. There are some layouts whereby the WC sits inside the utility room. Okay, try to find which is something is separate. Personally, this is a nice layout, your master room, but it's a good space. The only thing that I personally do not like is this elongated balcony. All right, I don't like to pay for this additional space that to me makes no sense. But if the price is right, it's something that I could consider. Yep. So this is another example that makes more sense to me. Right. Again, you walk into the door here, and this is just one big balcony like that. This one makes better sense for me. Right. If you enter the enclosed kitchen, right, you have your WC, your bath, your utility area, okay, and then you have a 3 bedrooms over here. Right? This would be a much better layout comparing to this. Okay, this is something that I'll prefer. What I would ask you to avoid as far as possible would be something like that. Right, again, depending on your budget. This you can see only has a kitchen. It doesn't have additional storage space, no yard area, and no WC. Right, over here you have a balcony, it's okay, but it's just short of these 3 items. This is what we call today the compact properties. Now, because if your target was actually you could afford something which is brand new, and of course if you're going to kind of downgrade your position to get something in the resale market, that would mean that these buyers' affordability has actually gone up because they're buying resale, right? And therefore, I believe that they'll buy something that makes more sense. A larger space, okay, with more facilities, such as the utilities inside the house that they can use in the future. Okay, so try to get something that has something like that, right? But I understand I have a customer that we just closed a case and their budget was under $1 million. So we got something like that because of the affordability, right? And they got a 3 bedroom for only $940,000. So this is in the growth area too, and it's something that they can afford, right? So again, it depends on the resources and what you are able to come up with at that time, okay? Right, this is another one that I personally do not like. It has the rest of its characteristics that I think is very good. Your dry kitchen, your wet kitchen here. You even have a bomb shelter, very nice, right? Your yard, your WC, okay? She could double up as a utility if you want to. But what I didn't like is having bay windows here. So bay windows is something that I personally felt is of the past. People like to have something which is a full-length window and no wasted space. They have a planter here, right, which I think I don't really like, so you can deck it up, okay? But if there's something else of a similar investment value, I'll recommend you to consider something else, right? So there are other type of layouts whereby they either have really long balconies, so right, that one you try to avoid as far as possible, okay? Okay, now let's zoom into this case study at Lentor area. Right, earlier here would be the site that was being sold. Let's look at what's available in this area. You have a freehold property at Thompson Grove, right? TOP back in 1984. Total, it has 116 units. Average going price about 1,200 per square feet. You have Carlos, also freehold property, TOP in 2007, 421 units at 1450 per square feet on average. Okay, and then now you have the other four. Far Horizon, earlier you saw, right? Leasehold since 1982, TOP in 1986. This is where the concern will actually come in. It's very affordable. 270 units is only going for 880 per square feet. All right, but you're balanced with 60 years. Therefore, this comes the struggle. If you buy this property because it's very affordable, if you stay there for 5 to 10 years, how are you going to exit? All right, and if I tell you hope for en bloc, I think it's a gamble. You might get it, you might not get it. So you got to ask yourself, what is the best use for your capital? Okay. Next, you have Seasons Park. Seasons Park, leasehold 995, TOP back in 1997. It's balanced with 73 years, 390 units, right? And presently at 970 per square feet. Okay, so you can basically see in terms of its depreciating value, right? 60 years and 3 years, right? About $100 down. Okay. You have Castle Green, again, another leasehold property, TOP in 1997, about the same age, 2 years older, also about 980 per square feet, right? And then the other one is at Unovo. Unovo is an EC, is a leasehold since 2001, TOP in 2004, balanced with 79 years, all right, 297 units now. So this is what is available at Lentor area, which will mean this is what is the buyers are going to buy in future, right? Those in Ang Mo Kio who are going to buy somewhere in Lentor because they want this particular area, for example, all right? What would they buy then? Right, now I'm going to show you something up north. Up north, you have Bullion Park and a whole enclave of landed properties, right? So you have Bullion Park here, which is another freehold property, TOP in 1993, 472 units, going at an average of 1250 per square feet, right? Now, previously I was telling you that we are targeting the sandwich group, right? The sandwich group of people who are looking to a bigger space, and obviously they are hoping to get a landed property, but because of the price gap between the freehold condominiums and the land property, the price gap is too wide, right? They actually settle for a freehold condominium. So this is an example. This is a sale transactions for Lentor Terrace back in this year. In fact, you have a smaller plot of land, a freehold unit, right? Freehold unit resale, 2,200 over square feet of land, going for 2.96 million. All right, and 2 years back, a smaller plot of land like that at 1,900 plus back in 2019 is at 2.78. All right, here is 2.68. So I'm guessing that today, if there are any units for sale, it should be close to $3 million. So this is something we haven't talked about, either the rebuilding or the renovation for the 2.5 floors that is available. Okay, so you can see that there is going to be a huge price gap between the condominiums freehold and the landed property in this part. So if I were to take it here, to me, I will go for the freehold property. To me, this is a safe haven property. Let me work out the reasons here and look at the numbers. The Carl Rose TOP in 2007. Now I look at the land size in relation to the units. The land size here is 34,345 square meters. It has 421 units, right? Therefore, and transacting now average of 1450 per square feet. Based on its average unit size over there, which I think is quite nice, the 123 square feet unit, it will cost you today close to 1.8 million to own this property, right? For Bullion Park, it's freehold, TOP in 1993, all right? But the land size is much larger, 47,861 square meters, all right? It has 472 units, and it's only going for $200 per square feet lesser than these units. Now, these units are large, guys. 100 square feet difference in terms of its increase is $100,000 already, right? It's unlike the smaller ones, yeah? So for this unit, you can see for a bigger size unit of 1259 square feet, right? At 1250 per square feet today, the difference is $200,000. Can you see the difference? Yeah? So this is 1.573 million, yeah? If you compare this to what it's going to be like at Lentor new launch in future, a 958 unit next year is going to transact about 1.9 million, all right? And in future, it's going to be 2.1 million. Can you see that previously I was saying that it has to be enough wide price gap between the per square feet of the freehold and the new launch, right? So here you can see is 1250 and 1987 is really, really wide. You're talking about almost $700 per square feet. From here, it's about $500 per square feet. Okay? And in future, 2026, when this is going to sell at a higher price, for example, they're working at a much higher per square feet. Therefore, by buying a property at Bullion Park, all right, would it make sense? Is there upward potential? To me, there is, all right. And I think the downward movement is going to be very marginal because really cannot find already. Okay, and to be honest, I've already done a lot of research. We have almost covered, me and the research team, the whole of Singapore. For growth properties and safe haven properties, it's very hard to find, right? Because many people are not selling, right? But if there is, obviously, then the opportunity is there, but you really take up the opportunity, right? Okay, so now let's look at growth drivers. One growth driver is basically, these are the 3 plots of land that are, one has been sold, 2 has been up for sale last month. We will get the answer of who's going to get award the land somewhere end of the year or perhaps early to mid of January. Okay. Now you can see, to me, whenever there's a government intervention in terms of GLS in this area, or there's any rejuvenation of the area, right? To me, it's like having an adrenaline shot in the area, whereby you actually kind of shortcut its economic growth for the property value in the area. Okay. At the same time, though we are all Singaporeans living in Singapore, we start to learn more about this particular area, either if you work there or you have friends staying there. But more often than not now is because of property, right? Developers are selling this area. They are spending a lot of money on advertisement. Then you start to have a refreshed view of the place. Hey, why not we can just stay there? Okay, so we are just riding on these growth drivers to give you additional support that you could get your capital gains in the fastest, shortest possible time, and it doesn't really fall, right? So this is for the GLS. Second thing to take note of is here, all right? If you look at the past, these lands to the left, so this is Bullion, this is Bullion. To the northeast is under reserve land. To the northwest, all right, or rather to the west of Bullion Park, is all forested area, all right? It has already been rezoned to residential. Okay, presently it's nothing over there. So when I think about it, this is already in a master plan. It's going to happen, all right? Could be during the revision of 2024, where they have a new master plan laid out every 5 years, right? But this tells me that if today I'm going to buy a property whereby the cost is only at 1250 per square feet, even if I give you $1,200 per square feet for a unit at Bullion Park, right? Is there any possibility that the land cost here plus its future construction cost and material cost, can they sell anything at even 1,300, 1,500? It's not possible, all right? Therefore, and in this area as GLS, you also know that there is no other freehold land in this area, okay? There are only 1, 2, 3, 3 over here. All right, I think there's one more towards the southwest at Pierce and Meadows, right? I didn't put it in because it's quite a distance away, right? So in terms of freehold land, condominiums of big size, 已经没有了, don't have already, all right? The rest are either very old properties, condominiums, or it's going to be the new ones which is very small. And then the other option available will be landed property, which is now too far. We have been outpriced already. If you didn't buy, get your hands on it. If you're unable to afford back in 2017, 2018, guess what? You can't afford it now unless your income has increased. All right. Therefore, what are the options available for these buyers of that to go into safety and freehold properties, big space that they can purchase? That's why I think this makes sense. All right. The next thing I wanted to also point out to you is that if you look at this connectivity, the North-South Expressway, So this is the one that if you were to go over to Novena and Newton, the whole place is a big mess, a lot of construction because it's underground. This is the north-south corridor they are building to connect the northeast all the way to the central of Singapore. All right, it's going to be underground. I think it's four lanes if I'm not wrong. All right, read up on it on Google. Right, so I do not know based on this what is going to be the access point, but I know that it's going to free off a lot of traffic above ground. All right, and it will give you more connectivity in terms of the Lentor MRT station. It is already up and running, and then you can use the corridor in future to go to town. Okay, so this is to me growth drivers that kind of guide my purchase and how I choose properties, whereby I know that my clients has a very small percentage that they're going to lose money. All right. All right. So great. This is just a summary. Let's check on this. This is just a summary of what I spoke about, right? To understand future prices, understand your future targeted buyers before you buy something, all right? And also understand future affordability, guys. It is not true what you read, all right? But I really leave it up to you to consider, to think about it. Not all new launch will make money, all right? It doesn't make sense. Some of the prices are really too expensive already. All right, so just be more mindful when you buy something, because it is something that you're buying for at least you're committing for the next 30 years to pay. Okay, and if you're looking to not have your capital stuck for the longer term, right? Do more research and be a bit more wise in the properties that you pick. Right? Look for presence of growth drivers. This is very important. Growth drivers for me is more of a hedge against my possible downfall, and to also know what is going to happen to that area of Singapore in future. Okay, so I'm able to catch on the wave early. All right. When you buy something, it's already up and running, you pay for the cost. So a lot of us are now looking to buy. Okay, so this is what everyone said, right? Hey Darren, you're so silly. Why you buy a property in the Mandarin Park? It's so ulu, all the other things that everyone says. And why not you can buy like properties that are already right smack at the MRT station? So to me, when all these facilities are there, the developers has already priced it because they also got the land expensive. And I didn't want to be the one holding on to it at the end of the day. All right, holding on to the risk. Okay, so remember, position yourself correctly today and do more research to know what you can do. Okay. So this kind of summarize how you should be able to choose the right property that is going to limit your downside risk and give you upside potential. All right. And so, guys who are watching this on YouTube, like, do me a big favor, guys. If you enjoyed this session, all right, you think the content makes sense, okay, and even if you think it's bullshit, please just give a like to this video so more people will actually be able to watch it. All right, it's an educational content, and if you can, subscribe to the channel. And for all of you who are still not on the sidelines and you are not sure how you want to get started, either to relook your portfolio or how to buy your very first property, what you should do, all right, and you're still looking for someone that you think is able to assist you, and if you think that I am that person, you can reach me either through my landing page at fastrate.sg, where I can get some details from you at least when you do the application, or if you want, you can reach me directly at my WhatsApp number. Okay, right? If you have no question, guys, let me just see if there's any comments. Right, if you have no question, guys, I wish you all the best. All right, have a lovely weekend. And for all of you who have stayed with me to watch this, thank you for your support and time. All right, take care and God bless.